Welcome to another episode of the Refined Peasants podcast. I'm Wyatt.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Nick.
Alright, let's get after it. Alright, today we're going to be going over the filibuster. There's some recent controversy about whether or not the Senate's going to get rid of it, just like the House has really never had it. Well, I guess let's go ahead and start with the origin of the filibuster.
I want to say outright, no way the Senate gets rid of the filibuster. Not with 50-50 split.
You don't think so?
No, I think Mitch McConnell will do everything up to and including sucking that West Virginia Democrat senator's dick to keep the filibuster. And what Mitch McConnell you may not like him, but one thing he is really good at is not letting things he doesn't like get through.
Yeah, he's a good resistance guy, I won't deny it. Let's start out with why the filibuster got here. So the idea was, these important decisions that they were making in the Senate and in the House were so important, there shouldn't be a time limit on debate. So, Aaron Burr at the time decided that, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have no time limit on debate, but whenever enough people, say, all right, that's it, debate's over, we'll vote. Once enough people say that they've said that their piece, we move on to the actual vote. And you need a 2/3 majority. At the time, it was like 66 votes. No, it wasn't 66. We didn't have 56. But it was a 2/3 majority in Congress. And it basically, no big fuss for a long time. Until the Reconstruction came. And House Republicans in the 1800s got rid of it. They said, we can't pass anything. These Southern House members won't let us do nothing.
Whoa. They were Southern what?
Southern Democrats.
There you go.
Southern conservative Democrats.
Well. No, Southern Democrats.
You can label it whatever you want. But yes, Republicans did get rid of the filibuster in the House. Hasn't been there since in any form. Then, we still have it in the Senate, which at the time, there wasn't that many seats, so it wasn't that hard to get stuff passed. And then, probably around the World War I, Woodrow Wilson wanted to go to war a lot earlier than the rest of the country wanted to go to war. And it was not popular at first, so senators just straight filibustered. Senators who didn't want to go to war, they didn't have the votes. So they just straight filibustered till the meeting was over, and Aaron Burr got pissed. So he lowered the amount from 2/3 to 3/5.
You mean Aaron Burr or Woodrow Wilson?
Oh, Woodrow Wilson. Sorry. Yeah.
Mixing up timelines.
I was about to say, I thought Aaron Burr got shot.
Yeah.
By Hamilton.
No, he shot
No,
Hamilton.
other way around.
Yeah, he
Other
shot
way around.
Hamilton.
Good man.
Yeah.
Good man.
No.
Bad
Alexander Hamilton is a great founding father.
We should have kept it.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I hate the play.
No.
Oh yeah,
It's good music.
I didn't think it's good music. I didn't make it past the opening scene, to be perfectly honest.
I'm a huge Hamilton fan. I do enjoy it.
Anyway.
But,
So Woodrow Wilson's pissed off.
Because he didn't get the votes to go to war. Even though the majority of senators were on board, they got this fucking filibuster, and they wouldn't give him the green light. And it wasn't because they had the votes. It was just because they were, cheating the system in a way. Right? So he lowers it to 3/5, and then he gets the votes, and America can finally go to war. No problem for the next 30 years. Until civil rights comes up. Southern senators didn't have the votes to stop civil rights. But the first 24-hour filibuster happened in the 50s. Man filibustered for 24 hours straight.
So filibuster is just him talking during an open debate session?
Yep, but now we have changed the rules since the 90s. You don't even have to command the floor, right? You just have to say, I object. Whenever they say, okay, do we want to cancel the debate and skip to the vote? You can just say, no, I object. You don't even have to command the floor anymore. So, and then it didn't take long after that, where senators found out they gain a lot more politically instead of bargaining and doing bipartisanship if they just do complete resistance. They gain a lot more politically if they do that. So now you have this modern filibuster where you need 60 votes to just get done with debate. And that will almost never get passed. Any big bill gets filibustered.
Unless you
nowadays.
get bipartisan approval.
Well, not all bills are bipartisan. Civil rights certainly wasn't bipartisan. And now that leads us to what we have today, and is the modern day filibuster productive for society and a way to govern? And I would say probably not.
Define productive. Like, so it makes things harder to
carries
pass, for sure.
carries out the will of the people.
Yes. So right now we have a 50-50 Senate. Really 51-50, considering we have a Democrat in the White House.
Right.
I mean, so that's 50% of Americans, approximately, want the Republican agenda. Which means they probably don't want what Democrats are going to try to shove down our throats.
I don't know, man. In this election, it's the first time in American history a presidency flipped the Senate, the presidency, and kept the House. That's incredible.
That's not that incredible. People hated Trump.
It doesn't matter. They bought into the Democratic agenda.
I don't think so.
Regardless, they voted for it, didn't they?
Did they, though, or was it, like, super faked and cheated?
Okay. Well, so let me tell you about the filibuster. So in 1955, do you have any idea how many bills passed through the United States Senate?
Nope.
A little bit over 1,000. That's insane. 65, around 800. 75, less than 600. 85, a little bit over 600. So about even from the previous decade. 1995, about 350. 2005, we start going to war. After 9/11 and stuff, a lot more bipartisanship. They just kind of gave Bush the green light. So 450 pass. 2015, 200 passed the Senate. The House, so there's a clear decline, right? I don't think that's unfair to say.
Okay.
The
Since
House,
the 1960s?
50s, yeah.
1955. So.
Yeah. So the House has stayed relatively the same because they've never had a filibuster. Just whoever's in power just passes the bill, send it to the Senate. Whatever they send back, probably going to pass. The House has stayed about the same. So how do we have one House of Congress, or one side of Congress is being productive and passing legislation, doing their job, and you have one half who has kind of been the cog in the damn wheel.
The wrench in the gears.
Yeah, it's holding us back.
I don't think it's holding us back.
From
I think they're supporting their constituency. On both sides.
Yeah, there's nothing
Democrats
wrong.
filibuster just as much as Republicans do.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. How many times do you think Republicans have filibustered since 2000?
No idea.
591.
Cool.
350 for Democrats. So they're 40% more likely.
Since when?
2000.
Who's president in 2000? Bush.
Bush just got elected. You've had more Republican time in office. So you had 8 plus 4 for Trump, so that's, 12 plus 8 for Obama.
I'm trying to figure out. I can't remember when. Yeah, because Bush got elected in 2000.
Yep. And it's not because they were trying to be bipartisan.
It's because Obama tried to get a whole bunch of shit passed, though.
America bought into his agenda.
I don't think America did.
Oh yeah, I don't think anyone would deny that. Whenever you win,
I think a lot of people would deny that.
When you win the losing side, of course. But whenever you win an electoral college by he got 360 something electorates the first time.
Did the entire country buy into Trump's agenda then?
No, he did have a big win.
Okay then.
But Trump passed everything he wanted, didn't he?
No.
Just about. Tax cuts, that was a big one. Immigration was a big one.
Tax cuts is the exclusive power of the
Muslim
presidency.
ban was the big one.
The Muslim ban wasn't passed through Congress. It was an executive order.
Okay, yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Everything you're talking about is the exclusive power of the presidency.
But
how much did he actually get passed through Congress?
Congress also did a lot. Would you agree?
No.
So you're telling me with a Republican House and Senate, there were no major bills passed in the Republican Party?
Actually, no, not to my recollection. Because I really wish
you gotta pass a lot of stuff in immigration. They had to have.
I'm pretty sure with immigration, Trump was just enforcing laws already on the books.
You don't see this as a problem whatsoever.
Well, I do see it as a problem that Obama gets a huge win and America totally bought into his agenda by his electoral wins, but Trump winning by almost the same
America
amount.
did buy into Trump.
You just said that they didn't, though.
No, I said not as much as Obama.
Well, I think we're splitting vagina hairs at this point, but...
You don't see the difference between 360 electoral win,
To like 340 something?
306 for Trump.
Yeah, that's not that many.
One of the
Considering
narrowest
one
margins.
is California for Obama. Yeah,
You know how many Senate seats he won in 2008?
Nope.
60. He had 60. That's how they passed Obamacare. And then they needed it to override the filibuster because Mitch McConnell didn't give a fuck. He was going to do whatever it took.
And then they super lost the midterms because America they got a taste and they were like,
Well, they thought the fight was over because it's not like they had a horrible snapback, right? Because Obama still won the re-election, right? He just lost the midterms.
Well, an incumbent always has.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that work out last election?
It didn't work out last election. It doesn't always work out, but the incumbent always does have an advantage when it comes to.
So eventually, the Democrats
Presidential.
do lose back the Senate. And Obama had 81 federal judge nominations filibustered when they were in the minority.
Do you know who eliminated the judicial filibuster from the Senate?
They had to. The Democrats had to. They didn't have a choice. Well, no. Republicans did it for the judicial nominees, didn't they?
No, Democrats did.
Was it Harry
And
Reid?
Mitch McConnell quoted. Mitch McConnell said, "You're going to regret doing this."
They had no choice. Mitch McConnell would not give them anything.
Yeah.
And like
So
at
they
that
got
point,
rid of-
you're
they got rid of-
hurting. You're not representing constituents. You're hurting America
I would disagree.
by
because other
understaffing. These are judges. These are federal judges. These are the highest honored people really we have in American government. And anyone who gets a nomination is generally qualified. And to filibuster them just because of partisan hackery, that's fucked up on both sides.
Just saying, Democrats got rid of the judicial filibuster and then bitched for 4 years that Trump was filling all these empty judiciary seats.
They're not empty because he couldn't fill them. He couldn't fill them because
Filibuster, and then they got rid of it. And then they
he
suffered
didn't
the
get to fill them.
So, see, that's an important thing. You know what happens when you get rid of a filibuster and then you become the minority? You get a bunch of shit rammed down your throat that you don't want. And that's my major defense for the filibuster. Minorities have rights.
I don't want to see the filibuster abolished. Because I don't have a problem if you're seriously up there trying to swing a debate. Right? But to just be up there and say, I object, and then you don't have to say nothing, and then the bill's blocked. That is ridiculous. And that is the reason we're losing the global race. Because we can't fucking adapt in this country.
I don't think we're losing a global race.
You don't think we're losing to China?
Nope.
You don't think our gap between us and China is diminishing?
Population gap.
They have the population, Garrett.
I know. It's diminishing.
The
Because they're
population
killing all
gap.
the Uyghur Muslims.
Okay.
No, I really don't. I don't see China making. I don't see China.
Well, then you're
making
just
up
you're
ground.
just wrong. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Okay.
Like
If they are making up ground, it's because they steal a whole bunch of U.S. ideas.
regardless of how, we can't adapt to change it. America has become one of the most rigid countries. Our system was not built for gridlock. We made it so. We have made the system. This is a modern phenomenon. Okay? And the filibuster makes bipartisanship almost impossible.
That's not true. It
Absolutely
encourages
is true.
bipartisanship.
No, it doesn't. It does the opposite.
Because you need 60 votes to get anything passed.
No, it
Which, unless you control 60 votes in the Senate, which is unlikely in a 50-50 divided country, then you have to have some give and take with Republicans.
And that's not true, because otherwise we would see more bipartisanship, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And why don't we?
Because neither side's willing to give anything?
Because they gain more by not giving any politically.
How? Just, for getting votes? To their constituency?
So if you voted, let's say Democrat this year, and then you're a Republican, they're like, well, they got voted in because of all these promises, let's say. That's the premise. And None of those promises come through. What are your voters likely to do? They're at the very least less likely to vote for you again. Right? Because you didn't follow through on anything.
Okay.
Especially independent voters. Right? Well, what is your job then, knowing that, as the minority? Well, you just got to stop everything because it's about the only power you have. Instead of forming a bill where everyone can walk away like we used to, where everyone can walk away saying, look at what we gained. We gained this. Right? That is no longer the modern political atmosphere, and it's because of the filibuster. At least in the Senate.
I don't. I think the modern political atmosphere is because neither side is willing to give anything. Like, there is no...
Well, that's not necessarily
give or
true
take
in the
anything.
House either, because do you know what political polarization is?
No idea.
Okay, so Democrats are only going to vote Democrat in the Senate, and Republicans are only going to vote...
So it's party line voting.
that is not necessarily the case in the House. There are
There's
tons
also a lot
of
more
House
representatives
members,
in the House.
even proportionally, even if you drew it back, House members are far more likely to go across the aisle, write a bill, send it through.
They also represent sections of the state. House members do.
Mm-hmm.
Senators represent whole states. So, like here in Oklahoma, we have...
Republican is still Republican.
Yeah,
Right.
but if you're a House representative from, say, Oklahoma City,
Mm-hmm.
like, your district is predominantly Democrat.
Is that why we have a Republican?
Well, it's still Oklahoma. Like,
Well, then what's your point? I don't understand.
because they have Democrats to please, too. Whereas in the Senate, you represent an entire state.
Yeah, and that's kind of the crux of my argument is that they're only representing, the side of the state that votes for them, which is not what you're supposed to do. You're only voting for the side that votes for you. That is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to represent your whole state. You're the president of America, not the president of Democrats. My biggest conflict with Trump is that he was just the president of Republicans.
Oh,
it
that's
felt like.
bullshit. He did more for Democrat minorities than any president in modern history.
Well,
he
he
can get fucked.
sure didn't seem that way. And at least
It sure did. No one just wanted to look at
voters
stats.
at least agreed with me.
No.
The voters
mean,
did
the
not
voters-
agree with me.
Actually, record numbers of minorities voted for Trump in 2020.
That's true.
So,
That's
I'm
true.
going to go ahead and tell you to shove it. I would say the dude, he lowered minority unemployment rate. He lowered the minority poverty rate. It's just everyone was brainwashed into thinking, no, he's doing stuff that's bad. Orange man bad, so we can't.
They can't think for themselves.
A lot of people, yeah.
Okay. And that you could not be a part of that, or Republicans in no way. The QAnon faction of the Republican
Oh,
Party.
no, for sure.
Okay.
QAnon
And you
does
know that's
not-
a much bigger portion of the party than we think.
I don't think so. It is shocking how many of them there are, though. Like, I thought QAnon was a myth. I really
they're
did.
common people. They're
And they're
1 in
really
5
out there.
Republicans, roughly, according to Gallup. I don't know how much you trust Gallup, but they
I
get
wanna
quoted
know-
by Donald Trump all the time. But like 1 in 5 Republicans, I'm like, that is insane to me.
So what is your proposal? Well, Nick, what do you think? What do you think of the filibuster?
Oh boy. So, I'll agree that when the filibuster was first starting out, it gave the minority party at the time, whichever one it would be, it gave him some kind of grab to not basically get anything shoved down their throat.
Wasn't meant for it.
Now I agree that yes, if you object, you must stand up on the floor and give your reason why. You must contribute to the debate. You can't just object and then not say anything.
Yeah, you can't just puss out, like, raise your hand and be
Yes.
like,
But that's
bullshit.
okay,
that's what you just
I'll-
argued for.
I'll-
I don't
No,
understand.
I'm arguing in favor of the filibuster,
You
not
do-
that you
you-
can just
hey.
raise your hand and say, nope, I don't want to do anything.
But that's what we have now.
Alright, so, it got to the point once they changed it. It got bad in the 1960s. It got so bad that when Lyndon B. Johnson had to go to the Senate, and I'll give you a perspective. Lyndon B. Johnson was 6'4", 200 pounds. The average height of a guy was 5'4", 160 pounds.
That's a big boy.
He would go up to you, he would tower over you, and he would basically yell at you, why are you not contributing?
He had to use JFK's death as leverage.
He did. JFK would intimidate you to speak. If
Would
you
anyone
did-
like to quote Lyndon B. Johnson on civil rights?
What do you mean?
On YouTube?
Oh, about the
I'm saying
white Democratic voter?
Yeah.
No.
it got so bad that he had to come down to the Senate and the House and basically intimidate people so that way stuff could get passed, so civil rights could get passed.
Yeah, but let's not pretend Lyndon B. Johnson was doing it out of the goodness of his heart.
No, he wanted to
He was
keep-
doing it for party gains.
I don't think so, because a
I'm
lot of
pretty
those,
sure
a lot
so.
of those Southern senators were Democrats too.
So, filibusters, in practice, are good. It gives a minority party at the time a voice. It gives you something that you can say, hey, hold on. You shouldn't just... Now, there is clips. You can call it... They're called the slow Republicans. They talk slow. They hand bills slow. They walk slow. They do everything slow to drag out this process.
Mhm. Ted Cruz will read Green Eggs and Ham on the floor of the Senate.
Well,
4
in his
hours.
defense, is because Dr. Seuss just got canceled. So that was a middle finger.
No, it wasn't. It was to filibuster a bill. This was a long time ago.
Oh, I
It's-
thought someone just read Green Eggs and Ham.
Possibly. But
They
this
did,
is not
they
the
did.
reference that we're
I
making.
think Ted Cruz did recently.
He filibustered a bill for several hours, reading Green Eggs and Ham, talking about his favorite stuff, and it had nothing to contribute to the
If you're
debate.
going to filibuster, you need to contribute to the debate. Like, you need to be
Yeah.
like, this is why I disagree with what it is.
So
This
here's what Biden proposed. That is getting zero report from the Republicans. If you're gonna if you want to filibuster, you got to do it the old school way, which means you have to command the floor. You have to talk. If you want to sit up
Didn't
there,
Biden promise not to touch the filibuster?
no, he promised not to abolish the filibuster.
Ah,
Semantics.
that vagina hair just keeps getting split every other time.
There is a difference. Even Chuck Schumer even said at the time.
I didn't say I was going to stop drilling and fracking. Okay, I did say that.
Well, no, there
Right.
you're absolutely right. But here he never said he was gonna. He said he wasn't
The
gonna.
problem
abolish
is
it
filibuster benefits both parties.
when they're in the minority.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, y'all regretted abolishing the judiciary filibuster. Y'all do. Democrats do what you're going to do. Because eventually Republicans will be back in the majority.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't be as long as you think.
It's a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
And
if
the
you're
thing is with making congressional laws is they're a lot harder to repeal.
So
people keep asking why
Do you think-
I don't know. Everyone asks like why have executive orders gone up? That's the only way you can get stuff passed anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because again,
because there's
There's-
half of Congress that refuses to pass fuck all.
exactly. So you got one option, and it's executive order.
Yeah. Like try passing anything in the Senate. Like
Maybe
anything.
try giving the Republicans something they want to. Or giving the Democrats something
They
want
will
when they're in
not
the
vote
minority.
on anything.
No one wants to give common ground.
No one wants to give anything. They spent, God, I don't know how many hours debating and negotiating the stimulus bill, and Democrats gave up quite a bit on that stimulus bill from where they originally started, and not one fucking Republican voted on it. So they gave up all this ground just for no one to vote on.
Well, they knew it was going to pass. So they could keep their political
No,
face.
it wasn't.
It did pass.
But it wasn't going to pass
Yeah, it was.
if Joe Manchin didn't do anything.
So that's a Democrat.
Yes, but he was giving ground on the side of the Republicans.
Because he's a West Virginia senator.
Okay?
Like, so I don't understand. The stimulus was being held up by a Democrat senator.
And Okay, so him and Lisa Murkowski, is that her name, from Alaska? She's a left-wing Republican, but Joe Manchin's like a right-wing Democrat. But anyway, they were in cahoots. And it ended up not one fucking Republican voted for that bill. And that's ridiculous.
They didn't need to. Why
It
would you
should've-
do something that would, like, you could
Okay.
save face?
Okay, but if you don't contribute to it, then you have no say. You can't bitch about a bill that you did not contribute to. So
Yeah,
the
so,
bill
like-
passes and you had a chance to debate and try
I
to
think
push
Republicans
things.
did a lot of contributing. They said
By
we
saying,
don't
"I
need
object."
targeted bill. They wanted the pork cut
By
from it.
by filibustering for hours.
They wanted the pork cut from it, and when the Democrats said no, we're not cutting it, they said okay, fine, we'll filibuster.
I don't care. Reading Green Eggs and Ham is not contributing to a bill.
Well, so they should have debated on the public stage.
I think this is how bills should work. Because you can't read an entire bill out. It's too long.
Yeah, which is fucking stupid.
I want an executive summary of what that bill is, and you hand out copies. You give people a chance to read it.
Won't please them.
I don't give a shit.
At least take away their excuse. I'm not against it, Nick.
And then you read it out, and then you say, all right, debate's open.
So would you...
Start.
Let me ask you this, Garrett. So here's what Biden proposes. And Chuck Schumer is slowly... Chuck Schumer kind of wants it gone, but he's not going to get it gone. So he's going to have to go with the Biden plan, which is... So if you vote to have the debate, then you can say, yes, we want to continue debating. But you have to command the floor. And when you give up the floor, your vote is then cast for an end of debate because you have then said your piece. Okay? I think that that's fair. And then they move on to the vote. Because then...
And each senator has the right to command the floor.
At
right?
least you're given... you're probably given an allotted time for the total debates.
Well, that's
It's
dumb.
typically how it works. Well, you don't want, I don't know, a senator from California debating on, like, oil rights in Texas.
If y'all want to get rid of the filibuster,
Okay,
I don't wanna get rid of
it. So quit saying that, because nobody wants that right now. Nobody in this podcast wants that. We want to reform the filibuster. I don't want to see it gone. Because if you get it gone, then a bunch of stupid shit can get passed in a hurry. Which too much change is not healthy. It would have to be an incremental thing. If we were going to get rid of the Senate filibuster, it would have to be a long-term thing. But we can reform it to that. Would you at least support that? You got to at least command the floor. Once you command the floor, it's done. Debate's done. Because right now, there's no check
I'm
on
going
the
to refer
filibuster.
to my earlier statement from the previous podcast, because I am so sick of giving inches, getting miles taken from me. Like,
But if you say you don't even
I think
try.
that's the fear for a lot of Republicans.
But don't you see
and
how that's
maybe
disingenuous?
it is just me. What do you mean disingenuous?
So you don't care about bipartisanship then, right?
No, I do care about
You just care about, no,
I think you should
no,
work
because,
together to get the 60 votes in the Senate.
But when you work together, you're giving inches. And you're so terrified of giving inches that you won't give anything.
Well, that's not true. We've had several podcasts where I've actually, like, what was the HR 1? Where I was like, look, we can do some give and take here.
Right, but
I'm
that's
just not willing to do. I'm not willing to do a
just
lot
not
of give and take on the filibuster.
But that's like there are only a select few issues, and it's mostly the ones that don't affect us that we really don't care
So do
about.
do you think they should, if you object to the filibuster or not, you object to end debate?
You should do open floor
you have
debates.
to,
You
and
shouldn't
it has
just
to be. It has to
object,
be
like-
about the bill. You can't be just sitting up there
Yeah.
talking about your life. No, keep it on.
And if you want to
And
read the fucking bill
I
word
don't-
for word,
I don't know who's in charge
I
of the
don't have a
Senate.
problem with that.
I don't know
I
who.
don't have a problem with that.
I don't know who is in charge. It's usually what the majority
It's
leader.
Chuck Schumer right now.
Well, he's
the president of the Senate is Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Okay, so probably should be there, and she should probably keep everyone on track. Like you start getting off track, like hey, no, this isn't about the bill anymore. Like you start talking about your family, like no, back to bill. Someone needs to be there to make sure everything is
It would at least put a check,
contributing.
so that way you don't have a tyranny of the minority problem.
Which is fair. I mean, so with the filibuster, it does enable a tyranny of the minority.
Because you can have a scenario like in 2008 where you have 59 Democratic senators, you have 240 plus House seats, and you can't pass anything because half of Congress is just gridlocked. They won't let you do anything because they know you got the votes, and that's the problem. So like in a situation like that, and I think for either side, if you run a Republican candidate who wins so much that he gets 59 senators in one race, okay, clearly America has bought into whatever the fuck he is selling. I don't care if I personally disagree with it. I will bitch and moan about it, but I will not say no, we should halt everything, because gridlock helps no one. Gridlock helps
Gridlocks
no
maintain
one.
status quo.
But it doesn't allow for
Why
change.
did Trump get elected? Fuck
'Cause
you
we
to
were-
status quo.
You don't allow
No, it was
progress to happen.
fuck you to
The
8
status
years
quo.
of Obama.
Yeah, but you don't allow
Obama is like if you open a box named status quo.
you don't allow
What?
you don't allow progress to happen though.
The dude who ran on "I'm not going to legalize gay marriage" and then went on to push legalizing, which I do not have a problem with legalizing gay marriage.
Could have fooled me just then.
Oh, shut
Like
the fuck
what?
up.
Like what do you mean?
Don't call him Mr. Status Quo when he's like, this was a radical policy when he ran. Hillary Clinton didn't advocate for gay marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call him Mr. Status Quo when he's not. He government funded healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call him Mr. Status Quo.
We've had Medicaid for quite a while.
Medicaid.
Medicare and Medicaid. It was just an expansion and more oversight. I'm not a fan of Obamacare.
Gotta fool me just then. See how that makes me sound? Like a dick?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, like if you're just gonna sit up there and you're just gonna say I motion to object, and then you can just leave. You can go home. You don't even have to be in the fucking building. You can get on a plane, go to another city, and it's considered your filibuster, and they can't do shit. And I think that's wrong. And
look, I could probably get on board with you need to, like, if you're going to filibuster, you need to at least explain on the floor of the Senate what problems you have with the bill, what you would like to see instead, like alternatives.
mm-hmm.
You need to actually have a hand in the discord. Because, I mean, as much as like, if, I'm a big guy, like, if you don't vote, you shouldn't bitch. And if you're just gonna object and then it's gonna pass, then you probably shouldn't bitch because you didn't make your voice heard.
So
let's get. What if it's no longer just object? You have to command the floor, but there's no time limit.
And that's fine, and I agree with that. And that's what everyone has basically said on the Democratic side, that they're on board with. Like, fine, we will stomach this because it means we'll at least get something done.
Who is everyone on the Democratic side?
So Chuck Schumer is the big one. We gotta win him over. Joe Manchin's in favor of this reform of the filibuster. And by the way, we change the filibuster up all the time. We change it for everything, basically. Like judicial nominees and stuff like that. So it's not like this is an amendment to the Constitution. Like, this is a very easy change we can make. Probably the biggest one is probably Joe Biden, who said, look, he was on a 60 Minutes interview just a few days ago. I guess it'll be a week ago by the time
But
this
just
podcast
because
goes.
Joe Biden advocates for a policy doesn't mean that all Democrats are behind it.
Well, I think, this is going to be a big debate, and I don't know what else you could really do to reform it. Because I don't think you're going to be able to abolish it. At least not this go-around.
I mean, the only other thing you can do is lower the amount of votes it takes to override a filibuster.
That wouldn't even, really, unless you lowered it to like 55, that wouldn't even really do anything in the Senate. So, like, they lowered it from 66 to 60 at one point, and that did absolutely, fucking nothing.
So lower it to 55, and then you have to convince 5. Like, in the Senate right now, you have to convince 5 Republicans. Really, 4.
Well, if that was the...
Plus 1.
I mean, we could get on board with that, but the big thing is going to have to be, like, if you're going to do it, you have to command the floor, and there's got to be... I wouldn't want to put a time limit on debate. Like, I have some respect for senators that I've seen, like, filibuster for 36 hours straight. That is... I mean, there's a level, even if I disagreed with them on whatever topic it was, I mean, there's a little bit of respect.
You're obviously got the convictions of your beliefs.
He's obviously not just resisting to resist, right? It's because he probably has a serious problem with the bill, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, there's an old Western movie about that, isn't it?
You probably spent like 26 hours reading the fucking bill, though.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with seeing a bill and be like, I can't vote for that. But, I mean, fuck, if the majority of America fucking wants it, like, you know?
I don't think the majority of America understands what's all in the bills anymore.
They're like 1,000 pages.
That's why they vote Congress to represent their interests, though.
But Congress isn't mandated to read the bills.
Okay, I'm with you. But they still vote on them.
So we need to mandate you read a bill.
They could be given a brief... Well, how are you going to mandate that? They're just gonna say
You
they
pass a
fucking
law
read
that says you have to read a goddamn bill before you fucking... If you have to read it on the fucking Senate floor...
it. The practicality of it's not there, though. Is it?
Bullshit.
Get an executive summary of what's in the bill.
So they make those already.
Then why the
How
fuck
many
can't
of them
you
do
read?
you think read them?
That's not my problem.
It
If you
should be-
didn't
you
take the
should
time
mandate
to
reading
read...
it.
Look, I first of all, I'm not trying to sound like I'm against, our Congress people getting educated on the bills that they vote for. And I think that would go a long way to forming more bipartisanship. Because I think if Republicans and Democrats read the bills, I think they would be like, oh yeah, I can support this. But instead, they don't read the bill, and whenever Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell say you're going to vote for it, you're just going to fucking vote for it. Like, they don't... In the Senate, it's not, it's not how to think, it's what to think from these fucking leaders. And I think that's the problem.
Well, then the solution is new leaders.
Well, you can't really... There's this big seniority thing. You can't really
That's
do
stupid. I've always
That's the way
hated
it is.
seniority.
it. Well, you know where they don't have it? House Republicans. I've always had it... Like, when Paul Ryan got elected as the Speaker of the House, I thought that was like some serious change that was about to happen, because that is badass that a dude as young as him got elected to the House as the Speaker. But since then, it's going to be, like in the Senate, it's pretty much always been just the oldest ranking member.
That is one thing that puzzles me about our government.
What's that?
They're a lot older than us.
Older people vote. That's why they're represented so well.
Ain't got nothing
You got-
better to do.
You got people from the 1940s making bills today. That's the problem.
Yep.
And that is a huge problem. And the solution to that is you just got to get young people out there to vote.
I mean, on average, your older generations vote. Young people don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the problem.
But if you want more like younger representation, you're gonna have to have younger people vote. And I don't mean 16-year-olds. I mean like 18 and up, 18 to 25.
That 18 to 25 demographics got to get out and vote.
And credit
Before
to them
they're
this
35.
election. Credit to them this election. They did like they've never done it before. But
Should they get out of school for it?
And they
To go
still
vote?
voted for the guy born in the 1940s.
Yep. Yep.
Now,
Well, the
you're-
other option was the dude born 4 years later. So I mean, their options weren't very.
Oh no, I'm just saying like in the
Like-
primaries.
No, yeah.
You're voting for people that when color television was started to become a thing, they thought it was magic. That's who you're voting for. People like that. They're like, holy crap!
When
I can see blue for the first time.
Hmm.
It's like fuck.
The universe wasn't in color before color TV, just so you know.
Yeah,
but it's like-
we all saw everything in black and white.
I mean, think about it. It's like,
I
man,
don't-
all these congressmen is wearing gray, and then boom, oh,
But I don't know. Not being able to adapt is a huge like ball and chain hanging on our government that we haven't had in a long time. And I mean a long time. And it hurts me to see it. Like, because I'm like, this could be solved so easy. And I'm not even talking for like, so for one, even if you abolish the filibuster completely, you're not gonna get fucking socialism tomorrow. That idea is crazy and not true at all. Like, it's socialism if it ever happens in America, which I don't know that it will. It will have to come when the people want it. And I don't mean just, Democrats won an election, that means they want socialism. No, it's gonna have to come whenever a socialist and I don't mean like Bernie socialist. That motherfucker just he's right wing compared to Europeans. It's gonna have to be like a real socialist that we're like, yeah, we want socialism. It'll be pretty clear that America wants
Oh, it was pretty clear. Bernie was pretty clear. Outright, I'm a socialist.
Bernie is a socialist, but compared to Europe, he's still. They're like, what the fuck, you fuck conservative dog. They're like, what the hell is wrong with you? Not you. I mean, they're saying that about Bernie.
No. I mean, I don't understand. I don't know who in Europe saying calling Bernie Sanders conservative.
Merkel.
Who?
Angela Merkel,
I have no idea who that is.
Germany.
Well, fuck.
yeah. I know those are people we beat twice,
Switzerland's. I don't know. their
Also,
names.
well, fuck.
Norway's.
and they don't even fight in the World War.
So the socialist
Macron,
countries.
Macron he's considered fairly conservative. He's still left of Bernie. He's the France. Do they have a
It's
maybe
the Prime Minister of France.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Boris Johnson's definitely to the right of Bernie, but not by much. It's not by much. Canadians are for sure left of Bernie.
Yeah, Canada's not Europe. Well, they might as well be. They're the Europe of this
Yeah.
hemisphere.
French. You're
Yeah.
French.
Yeah, they're French.
Well, anyone who still has the
And
Queen
English.
on their money.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know.
So I'm definitely I'm not for getting rid of the Senate filibuster. Now, if we want to talk, like I said, I can make some concessions. All right, let's actually discuss the bill. Let's not just raise our hands and then walk the fuck out.
Mhm.
That's some shit. I wouldn't like it if a Republican was in office and they were doing it to me.
Mhm.
That's some bullshit. If you want to actually participate, if you got that big of a fucking problem that you're gonna filibuster, then how about we have a discussion?
That's the thing too. I mean, I'll give conservatives the credit that they deserve. When they
Well-
they filibuster really well, and I don't think anyone denies that. Like I said, there's almost a little bit of a respect to it, I can admit, but they are not necessarily them, because Democrats do technically do it too. They just don't do it as much, but it just holds us back Like you are taking like the train of progress, and you're not just like slowing down the throw of coal, right? You're taking tracks off the fucking road. And it's like, we can only go so fast.
I don't.
Like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around. So, like, Reagan. Imagine if Reagan comes into power and the Democrats are just like, nothing. You are doing absolutely nothing. And Reagan won by a lot more than Obama. He only lost one state the second time he ran. If that's not a I buy into you, I don't know what is. And, to America's credit, at the time, they said, yeah, fuck it, we like these lower taxes. And that's fine. And we like all the bills coming along with it. And I was like, great. But
trickle-down economics never works.
No, America thought it did.
They did.
we sure thought it did.
And the deficit went up.
Sure did.
I don't. Like I said, we can have a discussion about what we're going to do to the filibuster. I just don't. I don't want it gone.
Well, if you don't want it gone, what could you stomach?
Like I said, I could stomach like you actually have to debate the bill.
Okay. I could live with that. And
I mean,
honestly,
if you want to give like a 24-hour time limit,
If
if
you
you want to give a 16-hour time limit to each senator, then okay. The
So
16 hours.
each senator. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Well, not all of them will use it.
Yeah.
Well, so the weird thing about the filibuster, so how it used to be, so they do stuff like that. But the second you left, so like if you left the chambers, you couldn't come back in and debate. So like if, I don't know,
That's fine.
let's throw out James Lankford. So let's say James Lankford starts the first debate. He commands the floor for 24 hours, but then all of Congress leaves, and then they come back right before. Well, those who left, they lost their right to filibuster. Once you leave, like if you're gonna filibuster, back then you had to be committed. You had to be there the whole time, sleep in there, like it was a real task, and that's why I think it's a good check to have. Like if you're so committed to stand there and talk about nothing,
Yeah, if you've got that big of
You
a
know what I'm
bone
saying?
to pick with it,
like I think you're at least sincere.
yeah.
you actually have a point you want to
You've
make.
at least got your convictions.
But
Like, I may not agree with you, but you're at least...
right. I'm trying to think, because there have to have been Democrat filibusters like that, but the big ones I can think of, like I said, conservatives, they are convicted people. They at least stand by their beliefs, and that is goddamn respectable. Because Democrats have no fucking fight in on those pussies. There ain't no way. They just be like, fuck it, we'll fix it in a few years anyway.
Democrats are a long game.
Yep.
I think that's pretty much... That's my point. Minority rights in the Senate, I think it really keeps the 51% from shoving down a lot of bullshit on the 49, and that's why I'm for it. Whether, and like I said, one day, probably not too far in the future, Democrats are going to enjoy having the filibuster, or if they end up getting rid of it, they're going to regret it.
Well,
So the good thing about
Because
filibuster,
another thing about Republicans is we pretty much if we've got the sword, we'll beat you with it. If we've got the sword of power,
I can admit that. They know how to wield the sword a lot better than the fucking Democrats.
So the good thing about a filibuster, it doesn't benefit just one party. It benefits both when they're in the minority.
it benefits whoever's in the minority.
So if you get rid of it and the next election comes around and you lose and you're no longer the majority,
that's the thing.
it's like, oh, well, we're going to filibuster.
So
you can't no more.
The original filibuster, where you had to command the floor, no one can talk that long. And you're like, well, fuck, this bill's going to pass, right? Well, it looks better for us as a party in the minority if we can contribute something. So it encouraged them, like, look, you're going to get this because you want this. You ran on this. You got elected because of this, whatever X is, right? But I still have constituents who are against this. You got to give me something I can run away with on this bill, And that used to come in any different form. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to expand Medicaid, gosh, you gotta lower the capital gains tax. You gotta talk to your president. Something ridiculous, something like that, right? Just you gotta give me something I can walk away with and I can take to my constituents and say, look, this is what we got out of this bill.
How you know a bill is good is both parties feel screwed. So I know a bill is good.
Well, the party in power, under this system, party in power is going to get most of what they want. They're just going to get a little screwed. It's the minority that's going to get.
The full
But
shaft.
I mean that's the name of the game. You got to control the majority.
Mm-hmm.
We are a democratic republic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard for me to find a scenario where if you have 59 senators, the 41 and however many seats the majority in the House, a really big majority, but the 41 in the Senate can halt all progress.
So to me, it's more important that the Senate has the filibuster. Because when you gather, so Democrats typically live in large cities. When you live around certain environments, you are more inclined to agree with their way of thinking. Even though, so we have pockets of just high density Democrats in different states.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, as far as area goes, Republicans are a lot more plentiful.
Land doesn't vote, though. Would be my.
No, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
But
so the state.
Like, I don't care if you had one person in Montana. You know, we shouldn't, in my opinion, as a society, throw away the will of however many millions live in Los Angeles for the one in Montana.
no, not in a perfect system.
You know.
You would try to find some kind of middle ground between the two.
Now, not saying fuck the dude in Montana, right?
That's what it sounds
But
like.
fuck the dude in Montana.
But that whenever you're talking about like net benefit, you gotta help the majority, right?
you do not.
Even though in that scenario
You do
have
not
two
help
senators.
people to the detriment of others.
Well, not necessarily. What if you're trying to cause the most? So you're trying to pick a scenario that causes the least amount of harm, or the most total net happiness.
Nope. You do not limit the capabilities of one person to increase
Even if
the
in
capabilities
return-
of others.
Even if in return, others suffer.
Yeah.
Well, then I would just have to say I disagree, because if we're going for the highest, standard of living, which I think America should have, then we have to lift everybody up.
Once you start limiting rights of people in the name of bettering other people's lives, it's a dangerous game.
Yeah, but okay, say California, they're
Yeah,
the
but-
minority at the point, so they're benefited for a few years. Then that one guy in Montana, next 4 years, because his party's the majority, get the most benefit. California gets the shaft.
Yeah, so you have a tyranny of the
thing,
minority.
The thing is, once you have, so are we talking about like if you got rid of the filibuster?
I
Because
want to see it changed.
Once you get a law passed through Congress, it's a lot harder to get it removed.
yeah, ask
A
about,
lot harder.
ask Mitch how that worked for Obamacare, because it turns out a lot more people like Obamacare than you give them credit.
It helps more people than you thought.
Yeah. Oh yeah. To the point where John McCain, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, they were like, "Look, I'm not winning my re-election if I don't vote for this. If I don't vote against this bill, because my constituents, they're poor where I live. They need Obamacare because half my fucking state is on it. You know?
No.
And
And that's how it should be. Like if your constituents need whatever that bill is.
yeah. And I don't have a problem with that. And I wish
I think you do. I think you would have a problem.
with what? No, in
If
that
it was
case, they
some-
voted against party interest in defense of
So
what
what
was
if they
best
voted
for America.
What if they voted for party interest in the best interest of their constituents?
That scenario doesn't exist. If you would have repealed Obamacare, it was
not for Obamacare. I'm saying in general. So
If they
okay,
did
let's say you are a Democrat
yeah,
in Los Angeles, where the median income is exorbitant.
like Silicon Valley type area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's say you're that representative. You're that representative.
Okay.
It is in your constituents' best interests to not have to pay higher premiums for their privatized healthcare. So if a Democrat would have gone across party lines and be like, no, I'm voting for the Republicans and to the interest of my constituents,
Mm-hmm.
you'd have been like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm. So at the federal level, we are going for the best across the entire board, in my opinion.
Nope.
You have state and local officials for your state and your local problems. Federal law does trump state law. It always has and it always will. So whenever you're, taking into account federal law, you shouldn't just take into account your
It
constituents.
didn't trump federal law didn't trump state law when it came to marijuana.
Yeah, well, so the federal government can't really enforce
What was the war on drugs?
federal law enforcement. That's before states started fighting back. As a matter of fact, it's still a federal crime. And if you get caught in Colorado with weed on you by a federal officer, they can charge you for a federal crime with marijuana.
So it's
That's a
almost like when the states decide to fight back against federal law, that conflicts with their own state law.
It's more of a. So like if the Fed, you're talking about it in contra, right? So if the Fed decided they were going to legalize marijuana, as a state, you could not take someone to jail over marijuana. Just flat out, could not do it. If you say it's illegal and then a state legalizes, it is up to the Fed, which is a lot to arrest you and enforce, which is a lot harder to do.
So state law trumps municipal law then, by that same logic, right?
Yes, typically.
Okay, so if a state says it is not a crime to consume alcohol, but a municipality is a dry county, and you can be fined for it. Because there are several counties like that in Texas, all across the South.
I've only studied a very limited amount of law, and it was on state, federal. I don't know what local, because some local places have taxes too, that only go to them, and I don't know how that works.
I'm just saying, by the same aspect of federalism.
But I'm saying it may not be the same standard. And I don't know, so the dry counties and stuff, they're kind of going away, but I understand your point. And I don't know how easy it is to enforce that stuff. But I do know that in Colorado, for example, where marijuana is completely legal, right, recreational, if you get arrested for a federal crime and they catch you with marijuana, they will get your ass for marijuana too. It's just because it's illegal federally, it's another thing they can stick you with. Even though it was in California. Sort of like if they catch you with a gun in Chicago, even though the second, it's like, well, it'd be the reverse in that scenario. But yes, they can do it.
See, so state law does trump federal law.
No,
or does it not? Or is it situational?
No, because
that's bullshit.
No, it's not situational. So, it's not against the Second Amendment to pass gun laws, according to the Supreme Court.
But to say you can't purchase guns in the city of Chicago? You can't own firearms in the city of Chicago?
Yes, so it's not the entire state, for example.
So municipality trumps federal law.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Because that's some shit.
I don't think so. I really don't.
Either way.
Because, well, it does. It's not like it trumps federal law in that case, because it's not unconstitutional. It's not against federal law to pass gun control.
But it kind of is.
Well, you take that up with every Supreme Court from the start of this country to now. You take it up with them. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
So if Houston decided that Democrat journalists aren't allowed to write papers, aren't allowed to publish them,
do you
that's not against the law, because
that wouldn't be against the law in your opinion?
No, I mean that's super against the law in my opinion.
Okay.
But by your logic with the Second Amendment,
no, because mine is based on precedent from the Supreme Courts and common law. It is not. Yours is not. That is the difference.
What precedents?
No, Gary has a point. They definitely we have times where you couldn't say what you wanted to say about the government, especially like war,
Vietnam,
Vietnam.
I agree with you, and that was wrong. The Constitution can't
so
stand up for itself, right?
So then it's wrong that Chicago has gun laws.
No, it's not.
Well, then it wasn't wrong for them to stop propaganda.
No, this is a drastic distortion of the data and the truth and the words.
I really don't think it is.
And you guys are doing a lot of mental gymnastics.
I'm really not. It's like, here's what you're saying, and then directly adjacent, like one amendment adjacent to it, almost, is exactly what I'm saying.
So gun laws, in your opinion, are unconstitutional?
Yes.
Period.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean,
So is anything regarding free speech.
You say that, but it is an amendment. It can change.
Yeah.
So
with
you
the
can
2/3 majority of Congress.
Yes, so I'm saying it can change.
So if you want to pass gun laws or freedom of speech laws, you get your 2/3 majority of Congress.
But states
Until
also,
then-
but states
until
have,
then,
states
get
have
fucked.
a right.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I'm a federalist.
And so,
So a
considering how vague the Second Amendment is,
But Wyatt's
with
point,
laws.
Wyatt's point was federal trumps state. I'm the federalist. I think states should trump federal.
Should, but it doesn't. It doesn't.
Now they proved that doesn't
Well,
work.
you just said that it does.
No, I didn't.
If Chicago has gun
No,
laws,
he's not listening.
I am listening.
No,
what,
you're not.
what am I
You're
not
trying
getting?
not to understand.
No, I'm not.
Okay. So federal law is like your baseline, right? So if the federal law, let's say they take away the Second Amendment, and they say that's it, no more guns. There's not a single state in the union that could legalize firearms. Not a single one.
Okay.
Especially if
So
the state
Then
wants
I'm
to
going to go
enforce
back
So
to
how,
the federal.
how is marijuana legal in some
The
states?
feds say marijuana
it. They
is
don't want to
illegal.
enforce it. They don't want to enforce it. It's as simple as that.
So how?
But they could be assholes, right? Because it's illegal federally. So what are you going to do whenever they catch you and they try you before a federal court for having marijuana in Colorado, right? And you're going to say, no, it was legal in Colorado. Well, bullshit. You're in the United States, motherfucker, in this court. That's what they're going to tell you. If you don't believe me, try it, okay? Like, it's not... I'm not speaking magic words here.
No one came and shut down marijuana shops in fucking California when they legalized it.
It's because, basically, the president has free reign to whether or not he wants to leave it up to the states or not. Same
See,
thing.
that's another bullshit thing. I think
So-
we discussed it on a prior podcast. Isn't it your job as the president to enforce the laws on the books?
Yeah.
Like,
that
what
is
your
your
whole
job.
branch fucking does.
That's exactly why.
Kinda.
That
And if
branch
you
is
don't
there.
like what laws on the books, then you should get it changed through Congress.
Mhm.
So, like, just choosing not to...
That
And
is-
personally, I'm
that is-
pro-marijuana.
That's the first rule of these executive branches to enforce laws.
So I am pro-marijuana. I think if you're over the age of 21 and you want to smoke weed, that's fine. I don't give a shit.
Mhm.
And not just medical. I'm talking over age 21, no matter what your deal is. But isn't the job to enforce the laws on the books? And if you don't like the laws on the books, change the fucking laws on the books. Not even once has a marijuana legalization bill come to the floor.
That's not true. It passed in the House.
Where is it? Did it pass? Wait, did it
It's
pass
locked in the
recently,
Senate.
didn't it?
Yeah, it's locked in the Senate.
No fucking way. Even Republicans want legalized weed.
Shit, you're the one. No, you're just wrong. That's why Colorado's so Democrat now. It used to be like red as fucking Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas.
Pot makes people
But-
liberal too.
But pot makes people liberal. And again, it's the hill that Republicans, for some fucking strange reason, are just willing to die on. I mean, some states are just now getting the medical. That is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, but when our state can pass medical, legalization's coming.
Our state recently did it.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
coming. It's when you can convince Oklahoma to legalize marijuana,
Mhm.
federal
We
legalization.
got nothing but fucking
Because
farmland.
we are nothing but fucking
Farm.
red-blooded Americans here.
Think about it.
Mhm.
Oklahoma's good for nothing but farms. Might well grow pot while you're at it.
Yeah.
Add to the cotton and wheat. There you go. Make a lot more money.
Like, it could be a winning thing for conservatives. And
It
they,
really could be.
But it's against the idea of conservatism as a whole, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, fuck your ideology. Just allow one contradiction, and you have no idea how many people you'd win over.
I don't
Yeah.
think you'd win over that many.
You'd win so many people over.
I mean, I think a lot of people would be happy about it, but I don't
I
think
know
people are going to
people-
switch parties because
I know
you
people
legalize
who
marijuana.
vote. Though that absolutely is what happened in Colorado and in New Mexico
At the state level.
and at the federal level.
They say it matters when it comes to election what your state is.
You know, like it absolutely. But back to the filibuster.
I was about to say, we've gotten way off in fucking
Yeah, we
weeds.
started talking about common law, federalism, state law versus federal law. Like, it's crazy. But back to the filibuster. Realistically, I don't see them abolishing it. If they abolished it, I mean, I guess
Yes,
I'd
both
be
parties lose.
yeah, both parties lose, which I think is I don't care. It would allow change to be done quicker.
Yeah, it would.
I'm not saying it wouldn't hurt Democrats. Obviously, a Republican's going to be elected in the future, right?
Yup.
And he's going to be able to pass.
You know, there's one of the beautiful
Whatever he
things
wants.
about our system is America is split pretty close down the middle.
And that's what's fucked up about our system.
Why?
I think you need to see more sex. Sexed. Like S-E-C-T-S. Sex.
Not for kids, YouTube.
But that way, you can't just have a majority party. So every other country has figured this out. But America is so fucking stupid that we can't figure out how this works. So literally...
These words do not represent everyone on the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone...
I think America's great.
I don't
full
think
of intelligent,
America's great,
if
but we're some
misinformed individuals.
stupid motherfuckers running around here.
Again, do not take his words as
Nope.
everyone in here. I think some of y'all are some smart people.
Some of them are some smart, but like I said, they overwhelmingly... Just think about the average person, and then just realize that half of them are dumber than that. You know what I'm saying? Like...
No. You're thinking of how fat
Wow.
we are. You're thinking how fat we are.
That too. We're a bunch of fat, stupid motherfuckers running around the planet.
Shotguns
Well, no,
and
not the
murder.
planet, just us. We get murdered when we go other
Fuck,
places.
we don't run
Now,
shit.
we murder other people.
That's not true. If you ask the
That's serious.
the bikers who went across Iran,
I don't know what I was on about.
Hiroshima
Oh, but the
and
multi-party
Nagasaki would
system...
like a word with you too.
The multi-party system, it literally makes you, it is impossible to have one party hold all the power. Literally cannot happen in a multi-party system. So you have these different sects. So like you would have like, I don't know, your evangelical conservatives be a party, you'd have your corporate Republicans, your corporate Democrats, and then your left-wing Democrats. At some point, so like probably...
so you think we need more than two parties?
Absolutely. Won't happen. The system's not built for it. The system we have currently isn't built for it, and that's why it won't happen, because you would have to change the system, and anything changing the system...
How would you have to change the system?
System isn't built for more than two parties. Why do you think
there like three parties originally?
That's not the modern system, is it?
See,
Yeah, but that fights your premise of it not being built for more than two.
No, it doesn't, because we're talking about modern America, aren't we?
But you said it wasn't built. But it doesn't
the
matter.
problem is you can't
So
have
it started off as no parties, if you remember, right? And then we defined the system and changed it to fit a party system. And then from there we went to a two-party system.
See,
And it has not changed.
the problem is you can't have a third party because it's going to split votes from one or both parties, and no one's going to get fucking.
That's
elected.
the idea.
The third party gets.
Everyone gets fucked. One party gets fucked.
Oh.
That's the point.
So we'd have to, instead of getting like a 51% majority of electoral votes, you'd have to lower it.
No, I say,
Like
honestly...
it'd have to be a simple
Well,
majority of
you would
electoral
have to
votes.
also get rid of probably the Electoral College, which is why it would never happen.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, there's no way you can do the Electoral College, because it would just defer to the House every single time. And that would obviously have problems, wouldn't it? And
The last time we referred to the House, it was rigged.
yeah, the last time we deferred to the House, it was literally rigged against Andrew Jackson, right?
Yep.
So it would probably have to be straight popular vote. But again, that'll never happen. Probably not in our lifetime anyway. We're young. Which I'm not necessarily against, but I think the Electoral College wasn't built for a 50-state system.
13, that's it.
Hmm.
That's all you
Yeah, it
get.
was built for a, east of the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, 13, you got
That
Louisiana.
was about it. That's all it was built for. But
Shit, we've covered a lot in this podcast.
yeah, we have, yeah.
What do you got? So what do you? I think we're all on the same page on the filibuster. Like, let's do some reform. Let's at least stop the bullshit of just raising your hand and walk the fuck out.
Someone needs to be overseeing so that way stuff keeps on track.
Well, so the president doesn't have a lot of power to end a filibuster right now. And I wouldn't want to give the president, because they're the VP candidate, I wouldn't want to give them that power to override a filibuster.
But no, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking like get the majority party, whichever it is, the leader of that party in the Senate keeps everyone on track. That is your responsibility for a
That's
filibuster.
gonna be right for...
You won't. Well, the problem is that if you shut somebody off, I don't care if they're talking about green eggs and ham, you're gonna piss them off. Oh, he was making a metaphor. No, he was just reading green eggs and ham, guys. He was just. You're gonna piss a lot of people off if you do that, even though you're probably right. You know, like when when Marco Rubio goes up there and starts talking about his favorite baseball team, it's like, this is not relevant to the stimulus.
Exactly.
So it's officially like a court of law. Like if you start going off topic and off relevance in the court, the judge says get back on track.
And honestly, I don't even care. If you want to go up there and you want to talk about your favorite baseball team, fine. There's a time limit on it. Fuck it.
Hell, get a supreme judge to oversee it so that way it keeps on track.
Because then what are you gonna do? Hold them in contempt if they refuse?
Yeah.
You can basically say your debate's over.
Yeah, you're just bullshitting right now.
Yeah.
It's either get back on track or cash your vote to end
My
debate.
only problem with that is he's got the power. He's got the power to do
Supreme
that.
Court. Most
Chief
most
Justice.
morally
Yeah,
judged
but then
people.
but then you're giving the Supreme Court power of the legislative, and that's
Yeah, I believe in separation of powers as much as I
That
can.
is true.
So I would like to. It would
it'd
probably.
have to be an internal thing.
It'd have to be the VP, I would think. But
Yeah.
even then, you got party bias complications there. They're never going to interrupt their own party.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, you could have a situation where you have, like, Kamala Harris, and let's assume that the Republicans win the Senate back in 2022. And the Democrats go up there to filibuster, and she never corrects them.
Yeah, never stops them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the problem there.
They start reading the Marxist Manifesto, and she's like, "Well, no, this is totally relevant."
But
It's about oil. Nope.
what kind of filibuster could you support? What would you back or oppose Biden's idea of a filibuster?
I don't know. I'd probably back it. From what I know of it so far,
Yeah.
I mean,
Back it.
I don't see any harm in ending just the, like I said, like no more just objecting and then getting the fuck out. Like that's bullshit. Like again, your job is to be part of this civil discourse, and you don't get to just be like, no, I don't want it. Bye.
So
That's bullshit.
I agree, and I think it would solve at least a few problems.
You're
But,
essentially having grown men elected be
Congress-
like children at a playground.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
no, I
active.
don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no,
Like, well, did you read it?
no. Well, what the
Well,
fuck?
No wonder you don't like
Why
it.
are you against it?
I don't
Daddy
know.
Mitch told me not to like it, or
That's
Daddy
right.
Schumer told me not to vote.
Me and
fucking
Daddy
no,
Mitch had
no.
some no-no
You called him
stories.
Daddy Mitch.
Cocaine Mitch.
Apex Predator, Cocaine Mitch McConnell.
Daddy Mitch and me had some no-no stone. He told me not to vote for it.
And like, so
Got a
like,
pound.
we could come up with a crazy hypothetical, right? Where someone comes in here and they're just like a straight dictator that somehow got elected president, and they're trying to pass some fucking god awful laws that would turn us into like 1930s Germany, right? But, and I could see, and that's hypothetical. It's like, okay, we need the filibuster. We can't, you know what I'm saying? But the filibuster in general has only really ever been used on the wrong side of issues historically. So like keeping us from defending our allies twice, kept FDR from his New Deal for a long time, kept us against civil rights, kept us, in defense of Jim Crow. And I think that's the problem. So like, they got Jim Crow passed, but they couldn't override it federally because these Southern senators just filibuster. So I think that's my problem with it. So like, you're not, if you're doing progress, that's the only time it's ever really.
So the
gonna be filibuster.
reputation of the filibuster is not great.
It's been tainted.
No, yeah. So like, it really would be one thing if you just went up there and you were trying to honestly debate, from a perspective that is like the
Your
normal.
constituency.
Yeah.
If the people of my state don't want this, and this is why.
But what do you do for people who? So like, what do you say about polls that like come out about? So like, if a senator isn't representing their constituent and they're just voting party lines, what would you say?
That's pretty shit.
Okay. So like, if we have a scenario like I don't know, let's say Texas, that's a red state. If they wanted Obamacare, and they didn't want Ted Cruz to vote against it, but he did anyway.
They should vote him out.
Okay. Well, that's not going to happen because
Why
there's
not?
not enough of them pissed off. Even
Well,
though
then it doesn't matter that much to you, does it?
right, so it's not a key issue. So is it okay to vote against them on non-key issues?
I mean, if it's not going to piss them off enough to get you out of office, then I don't see why not.
Okay.
Like,
So obviously he couldn't pass HR 127, the gun legislation, and keep office, right?
No, God,
Yeah,
no.
Texans would kick him out.
Exactly, right. But
So I don't think it's... They can vote however they want, I guess. And
You
I
should
do think
vote-
they have a civic duty to represent their constituency. But their constituency also has a civic duty to, if they're not representing you accurately, vote someone who you feel represents you more accurately. Like, that's your job as a voter and a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, what do you do for fluke elections?
what do you mean?
So, like, Raphael Warnock in Georgia. He's probably a fluke election. He's probably not going to win again. I mean, his constituency is definitely red. He's a Democrat, and he's probably going to toe the party line most of the time.
Well, he's going to get voted out.
And I think that's mostly wrong, unless you can justify it to the benefit of all of America as a whole.
Nope.
Yep,
As
because
a representative, you are not representing America as a whole. You are either representing your state or your district.
and I think that's true. But if you vote for something that benefits your state at the detriment of another state, I think you are hurting the union.
You are this far from a globalist.
How?
Like, and if you can't see my fingers, they're really close.
We're talking about the republic here. We're talking about the United States. What is that? I don't understand.
So, because your arguments are always for the betterment of the collective.
Of the United States.
You don't see how that's like a skip from the globalists, where we should be doing things because it helps people globally.
So should we only take care of our neighbors in our neighborhood?
Yeah.
So like, fuck the next town over, right?
Yeah, that's
No,
their problem.
I don't think so. I'm an American. I'm not, from X city in Oklahoma. I'm an American. Right? That's my
what
perspective.
you vote in your own
That
city is not my problem.
So from my perspective, I'm an American. I am voting for what helps America. As a senator, I would probably do the same thing. I would vote for whatever helps.
I think that defies your civic duty as a senator, as an elected official.
We may just disagree on that.
That's yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we
that's-
may just have a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
Nick, what do you think?
Oh man, I mean, you need to vote for your constituents. Or sorry, I can't fucking say it.
Constituency.
Yeah, I suck with words. You need to vote for the people who voted for you.
Even if it's at the detriment of the entire country. The entire rest of the country.
So you got voted to represent your state. Your first job is to help your state. That is who you're supposed to help. Like Oklahoma, we are a big agricultural and oil state. When you pass shit that goes against that, a lot of people start losing lots of jobs and we start going hungrier.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an Oklahoma senator and you vote against oil, you ain't gonna be an Oklahoma senator long.
No.
Kendra Horn proved that.
Mm-hmm.
So
She's a
it's-
rep.
Hmm?
She's a rep.
Oh, that's right.
So your first job is to vote for your state. That's how it was originally. You voted for the benefit of your state.
Mm-hmm.
You vote for what's best for them.
Now I also think you should vote for the betterment of the union. So you need to look at your neighborhood, but I wouldn't mind if you helped the neighborhood across from you
Mm-hmm.
in that same bill.
So what trumps what? So it comes to you either have to vote one way for the betterment of the rest of to the betterment of, let's say, 25 other states, but to the detriment of your own, or you vote against to the benefit of your state and the detriment of 25.
Well, in a perfect world, you try to do both. You try to better both.
Well,
And
this
if
is
you
a
had
hypothetical.
compromise-
You
if
gotta
you-
go with the thought experiment, Nick.
If I had to, I would have to go with my state. I was elected to represent that state.
Sheesh, I don't know about that.
Nope, I'm totally with you, Nick.
I don't
I'm
know
right
about
there.
that.
Now,
so,
personally,
so you
I would-
guys
you
are
are-
making a
an Oklahoma-
normative statement.
If
An Oklahoma senator was not elected to help people in Michigan. He was elected to help people in Oklahoma.
He was elected to help the union too.
No, he was elected.
He was
to
not
help
elected
the
to
people
help
of
the union too.
No, he was not. He was elected to help Oklahomans get their opinions and their perspective passed
literally,
into law.
his whole job is to be the voice of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Well, then this is just a different philosophy then. So like I value America as a whole.
I value America too.
You guys can't cut me off because then you make a straw man out of me. I can't do that. I'm not saying you guys don't value America as a whole. I'm saying you value your state first.
That's what your
That's federalism.
that's your job
and
first.
that's just not me. That's a difference of philosophy that we have, and that's fine.
What? Say you run
There's
a warehouse.
nothing. No, I understand both sides of the argument. I'm just saying, like, me personally, I would rather see the entire union flourish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
in
to
a
do that may come at the expense at some of my state's resources. But at the end of the day, we're going to receive a net benefit, in my opinion.
But what if your state goes into poverty because of it?
This is America, all right? Americans take care of fucking Americans, okay?
That's not true.
No. Yeah.
Really?
I don't think so.
In what fucking world? Why?
I mean,
So
look how many oil fields
Well,
Crisis.
you know, and I'm not going to say that you're
How many
wrong.
people? How many people are rooting for the oil industry to shut down, despite what it would do to Kansas,
Mhm.
Texas? How many people rooted for that pipeline to shut down?
look how many jobs were lost.
And you know how many jobs were lost in Central America? No, not Central America. Heartland
Central
America.
mainland, yeah. I don't know, 11,000, right?
How many people root for green energy?
Have you
And-
seen Biden's job report?
No.
It's a lot. It's more jobs in the first 2 months than the total jobs. So Trump lost jobs in his 4 years. He actually, first one since Hoover to lose jobs in his 4 years. Granted, COVID. Still the facts, though, right? Biden gained more jobs in 2 months.
Because it was an artificial recession. They shut the government down. People lost their jobs
Shut
because
the world down. I wouldn't call it artificial.
So you can't.
COVID's
It is
real.
artificial.
So you're gonna.
But that's not the
Okay,
point.
no.
That's not the point I was trying to make. I'm just saying, like
Well,
you're.
you can't, I'm
like,
not going to take that
didn't
laying down.
It didn't cripple the economy, is what I'm saying.
What didn't cripple the economy?
The cancellation of the Keystone X, because it wasn't.
No, but a
finished.
push towards green energy would cripple a lot of economies in the central United States.
Have you heard their solution? Okay, this is getting a little off topic. I don't even remember what my point was. I was trying to go somewhere with my previous thought, and I couldn't get there.
Damn it.
But I hate when that happens. It just
Yeah.
irks me. But I mean, so that's just the problem. So that I have with the philosophy of like state first, take care of my state, my state, my state. Because I think overall, when all of America flourishes, eventually you'll reap the benefits of that.
Yeah, if
Alright,
you
okay.
have to go through a bunch of suffering to
Okay.
do that, that's
Okay,
fine.
well, I gotta
If the
Let's-
heartland
well,
has-
let's be clear. It's not.
If Texas and Oklahoma have to suffer because we shut down the oil industry in pursuit of green energy, if we have to suffer for 15 years, that's fine.
What was the name of the hurricane?
Because at the end of
the hurricane that the jet stream caught and it went inland up into like mainland New York.
Oh, Sandy.
You know who voted against relief for that?
Mm-hmm.
Ted Cruz. Why would Ted Cruz do that?
He's in Texas.
Why should
Well, see,
not?
so that's a dick move. That's a natural disaster.
Yeah, no, I agree. Gosh, I wish I had the number on me. It's somewhere in the millions and millions of dollars AOC raised for the Texas ice storm.
Yeah.
So
So natural disasters are a different thing.
So
I'm not gonna. I'm talking
I-
policy detriment.
Why-
you know,
why-
why would
hold
people
on,
vote
hold on.
against relief fund for Katrina? It doesn't make any sense to me.
But we're not voting against relief funds. We're voting against economic and future policies.
Okay, I got a hypothetical for you. All right, say you work at a warehouse, all right, and you get elected as the head honcho. You are now the runner. You run that warehouse, all right. And you meet up with the other warehouse managers,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, hey, we're gonna do this now, but you're a smaller warehouse, and if they decide to make this change, you're gonna have to fire your employees. It's gonna cripple your warehouse. Your production's gonna go down.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to fire employees. Would you still vote for yes on it, even though it's gonna benefit, say, 5 of them, 5 of these big warehouses?
Depends on what my role is.
You are there to represent your warehouse. That is they voted for you to give them a voice, so that way they don't.
So I'm
get
like the
shit.
head of a union or something at a warehouse. Then, as you know, my sole job at the head of the union is not to deliver profits, is it, to the company? It's not to shareholders. My oath is to those people and those people only. I don't owe an oath like a federal senator owes an oath not to their state constitution, to the federal constitution,
Yours are both.
and to the republic,
And to their voters.
and to the republic as well.
Which-
So for one, I don't think the two should be mutually exclusive. I think anything that in the long run helps America helps your state.
But there's the thing. The devil's in the details. We have difference of opinion on what is better long term for America.
No, I have no problem with a senator voting their conscience. So, like, if you sincerely believe, as a senator, that this bill will hurt America, vote no on it. I have no problem with that.
Even if you think it's a betterment
What-
to society.
Well, if you think it's a betterment to society, you should vote. Why would you vote no on it?
Okay, so no. So Ted Cruz is never going to vote for green energy, right?
I mean, yeah.
So you think that furthering green energy research would be for the betterment of society? Do you think there's any rational way that somebody could think otherwise?
Not backed by data, but
Okay, then.
personal opinion. But I'll go with the thought experiment. Sure.
So you think that because of your opinion,
Mm-hmm.
you think that him voting against a green energy bill
Mm-hmm.
is bad,
Yes.
even though there are people in his state who he represents who have a different opinion.
Okay. So in his state, he's representing mostly in that case oil jobs, right? I mean, I don't think that's controversial to
No.
say in this hypothetical. The same people who do those oil jobs, if he was given an alternative to those people as their jobs, right? Say, well, look, man, oil's going away slowly. We're going to have less. It's kind of like coal miners. It's like it's never going to go away completely. But your labor force is going to drop. That's coming. Like it or not, that's the facts.
That's hard to deny.
If
Green
you can-
energy saves people money.
If you can give me, or me as in Ted Cruz, if you can give Ted Cruz an alternative job solution to these people, that is not only job security for them in the future, right? Which is a large part of like most green energy stuff. They're not just funding green energy to fund green energy. They're funding jobs.
So
So if you gave him a solution that he could stomach, I mean, work with him. But, I mean, if it didn't satisfy him, it didn't satisfy him. And I still don't have a problem with him voting no on it. Now, if they gave him everything he wanted and he still voted no on it, then fuck him, to be honest with you. Because, I mean, if they bent over backwards to help people in your state have jobs, which is what he's most worried about, then yeah, fuck him. Still vote, because in that case, I guess he voted against his constituents.
I think I'm just going to reiterate. An elected representative to the House or Senate is there to represent their constituency and their state first.
Mm-hmm.
So a House member is their district, and the senator represents their state first.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, it's not, again, it is not a senator. And again, I've said this a couple times when you're talking about Sandy and Katrina and the ice storm. Natural disasters are a different thing. If an earthquake hits California, I'm more than happy to help, to let my taxpayer dollars go and help them out. Because in the end of the day, we are Americans. I'm not going to let you suffer because of something literally no one can control. But I'm not going to I'm not happy about my taxpayer dollars going to something that is going to benefit your state and maybe Washington, Oregon, New York. I'm not going to sell something that's going to, I'm not okay with letting something that's going to benefit the coast to the detriment of Central America, to Heartland.
Yep. Got another hypothetical for you. And this one actually pretty soon probably won't be a hypothetical. They're talking about mass transit in America. It's not going to go through all 50 states. It's just not. Some states are gonna bite the bullet.
Then the states that would be biting the bullet should vote against it. If it's to their detriment.
But to the benefit of the rest of the country. So yes, their tax dollars would go to and the federal system, yes, their tax dollars would have to go to the speed bullet trains, whatever they are, the mass transit system. Even if it doesn't go through their state, that's the problem we had originally with the fucking railroad. We couldn't get it approved because it didn't go through every state. And they're like, why the fuck would I spend millions and millions of dollars back then on a fucking railroad that's not going through my city? And that's a fair argument.
That's where you get
But
JP Morgan.
you're holding fucking society back, you know? And I get it, like, it's like, look, I'm supposed to take care of my people first. And I'm like, look, I get that, but at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We're in this fight together.
It doesn't feel like that.
It's not like...
it feels like the coasts want to get what they want done.
It doesn't feel like that when
And
everyone,
fuck what anyone else
everyone in a big city calls me an uneducated retard redneck. It doesn't feel like we're all Americans that way. When you say Americans are stupid, it doesn't make you feel like, oh, well, he's still out for my benefit, even though he called me stupid.
Well, I don't think Wyatt was legitimately thinking a lot.
I know, but like,
No, I wasn't calling Republicans stupid either. I was calling Americans stupid.
I think I would call Americans uninformed.
So you see how like
Most Americans don't care.
I don't want to help a guy who thinks I'm a no nonsense idiot, and thinks that I'm just uneducated.
I want to help some dude in New York. For again, natural catastrophes.
Yes.
I'll help you.
So what would you have said to Ted Cruz whenever he voted no?
Piece of shit.
Hurricane Sandy.
Oh yeah, that's a piece of shit move, dude.
Would you have voted against him?
Yeah. I would have voted for hurricane relief.
No, that's not. I mean, would you have voted against him for that reason?
Would I have voted not voted for him in Texas?
Yeah, assuming you lived in Texas.
Oh, depends whoever the other candidate was.
Sheesh, I don't know, man.
Yeah, what if the other
Hard to
candidate?
beat.
What if the
Hard
other?
to-
What if the
hard to
other?
beat.
What if the other
Not
candidate
getting
also
hurricane.
did not?
Especially whenever you have a similar situation where a House representative raised, private money herself because she was so pissed that there wasn't, no one else from the feds was coming to help Texas. So she raised millions and millions of dollars on her own and went down there. So you have that situation where a representative from New York is there with the constituents of a senator from Texas who's in Cancun.
So
And raised millions of dollars. And
who more accurately represents? So I can still think that's a piece of shit move, and also think that Ted Cruz more accurately represents me than the other person.
Yeah, what if the other person running also
Was pro gun control and.
But no, what if he also would not have sent relief to the hurricane? Was it Sandy, Katrina, whatever?
Yeah,
Sandy.
Yeah. The relief, I think it's probably relevant. The relief still passed, but I think the vote against it still, that's a message still.
Yeah, but what if again? Say
That's like voting against civil rights and then being like, oh, it's still passed. It's like, well,
you're on the
still
wrong
took
side.
a dick move.
still a dick move,
But I see where Garrett's coming from. It depends on the other candidate that is running
I'm
against
not
Ted
saying
Cruz.
I'm not saying would you vote for Hitler or Ted Cruz? No. I'm saying would you vote for a rational person over Ted Cruz?
That depends to define rational person. Again, if the alternative is a Democrat who's pushing gun control and green energy lobbies,
So
no.
I'm not asking you to vote for Beto, right? I'm just.
But you're not defining who the other person is.
Well, I'm just saying could that drive you to vote against him?
I mean, could it? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could, but
But I'm still going to vote for whoever more accurately represents my views.
Sheesh. Regardless of what actions they do, or what's the bar?
Here's the problem.
No, their actions need to represent.
Here's the problem with your
my ideals.
hypothetical is you're making up a fake candidate and you're not giving me anything about them. What if he also voted against?
I understand it
would have
wasn't the
voted.
perfect hypothetical, but Joe Manson. Would you vote for Joe Manson over Ted Cruz?
I don't
Given
know
that
anything about Joe Manson.
Yeah, you're talking wrong.
No fucking.
I don't live
he's
in
a pretty
Texas.
right wing guy.
I don't
I'm not
live
gonna
in
lie to you,
Texas.
but he's probably more right than some Republicans. To be honest with you, he just happens to be a Democrat. Some people are just born different. I don't know what the fuck it is. And I wish we had more people like that. I wish we had more conservative Democrats and more freaking liberal Republicans. So that way it wasn't just one ideology on one side and one on
There's
the
a
other.
whole branch of the Republican Party called Libertarian.
Well, sorta. They're basically like Republicans who just want nothing.
I wish we could have liberal conservatives, except for all the liberal conservatives that there are.
Like who?
Fuck, Ben Shapiro's pretty liberal.
Okay.
He is.
Okay. He's not how. What liberal position does he own?
Huh.
Socially, economically, he's not liberal, right? For sure.
Economically, he's liberal. That's for sure. He thinks businesses should be able to do whatever the fuck they want.
That's
I think that's probably better, a more accurate description
And
of
that's
Republican libertarianism. Is they're economically libertarian, not socially.
libertarian. I thought you said liberal.
Oh no, libertarian.
I think you might have said liberal. Ben Shapiro's not a liberal. That's why I laughed. I was like,
Oh
okay.
no, I
That's
thought
why
I said
I was-
libertarian. That's my bad.
Did you hear liberal or libertarian? Anyway, regardless, you meant libertarian. I mean, yeah, I'd admit it. Probably, gosh, it's a hard one, Ben Shapiro, because he's so, he wants authoritarian, so, he's for, whatchamacallit, what's it called? The Edward Snowden got in trouble for, monitoring citizens.
Oh.
And I'm like, if that is not
That's not
authority,
fucking. That's
if that's
libertarian.
not authority, that is shit that even Mitch McConnell was like, maybe we went a little too far with that in the Patriot Act. And I'm like, you fucking think?
Yeah, too far was a couple steps ago.
Mhm. Yeah, it's batshit to me, but
I don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy how many answers to questions are. I don't know.
yeah.
You really think about it if you're being intellectually honest.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Wrapping up thoughts.
Well, I'd like to see it gone, as in like reformed. I don't want to see it abolished, at least not yet. Because if you abolish it now, it's just going to be freaking a bloodbath. But if you do it slowly over time, I have at least some faith that both sides will keep honest. And I don't think there's a problem with debate in Congress. That's what it's there for. It's like even though the House doesn't have a filibuster, they still have a time for debate. It's just a select amount of time, right?
Yeah.
But you can't just hold up, you can't just hold Congress hostage, which is what I think the filibuster should just be aimed to, just a fucking hostage.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
It should definitely be... I could discuss reforms to make it at least more of an object for debate, like a tool for forced debate on a bill.
So, what would you say if... so Joe Manchin, assuming, comes to the side of Biden, and he's like, look, you just have to command the floor. Well, Mitch McConnell has already said, like, that's declaring war, right? He said that is, anything they do to touch it, that's, it's going to be open season after that.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with open season as a minority, but...
Well, I think he knows he's going to get another crack at being the majority, possibly.
I mean, that's what he did with the judiciary filibuster. It's like, once you do this,
To be
gloves
fair,
are off.
they didn't give Harry Reid or none of them a fucking choice. When you filibuster 81 nominations, this isn't... It's not even 81
There's always a
filibusters.
choice. Because if they hadn't gotten rid of the judiciary filibuster, they could have stopped all them Trump appointees that they bitched non-stop about.
The only one they probably would have stopped was Cav. Judiciaries didn't used to be that controversial. Like, we have a, fucking, what's her name?
That's true.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed 97-0.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they tried to appoint her today?
That's because we all used to think that the judges were, like, decent people.
They are. All of them
yeah,
are.
for sure.
If
Like, what they tried to do to Kavanaugh was bullshit.
what
What they tried to do to Amy Coney Barrett.
they did with her.
They basically attacked her religion, saying, like, well, because you're a Christian woman, like, you can't... Like, there's no way you're going to rule
They
fairly
say that on
certain
the Senate.
cases.
They say that on CNN, just looking for brownie points.
Oh, fuck. I know she got beat over the head. Like, she got straight ass. Like, would your beliefs inhibit your ability to rule on certain cases? Like,
She's
specifically
a damn good
abortion,
judge.
I think.
Yeah.
And then, Amy Coney Barrett's like, well, I'm not going to tell you how I'd rule on certain cases because that's illegal.
Okay, now, I know this is the end of the podcast, but I have to ask. Does it disappoint you a little bit that they have a 6-3 and they've done nothing on Roe v. Wade?
Yeah. But, I mean, honestly, for them to have something on Roe v. Wade, a state has to pass an abortion law and then it has to be taken to the Supreme Court.
No, they can rejudge any case they want.
I mean, it for sure disappoints me.
So do you see how that potentially could be a weapon that Republicans use to drive voters?
What do you mean?
So do you think Republicans actually care? I mean, for sure some do. Like Senator Lankford here in Oklahoma, I think I've talked to the guy, like in person. I know he cares about being anti-abortion. I don't think all senators are like that. I think they just use it to get votes out of evangelicals, to be completely honest with you. And that's why you've seen the lack of... Excuse me. I think that's why you've seen the lack of actual tangible... That's why you've seen the problem really only worsen.
I mean, that's a fair argument.
Democrats do it too, just on different issues.
Paying lip service.
Yep. And, yep.
Like big money out of politics.
That's true. I mean, I'd be down for that. Campaign finance reform. It definitely would get more, like, average people in politics, which I think would be good. Nick, final thoughts?
It needs to be reformed.
Could you support what Biden proposes? Forcing you to command the floor?
Yeah,
And whatever you give up?
Your vote's automatically cast to end debate.
We'll see
Not
what
for the bill, just to end debate.
We'll
Yes.
see what details come out in the actual House, in the actual legislation. But, I mean, on its face, I don't see a problem with that. Don't get rid of it.
The good news is that the filibuster is like one of the few simple things we have. It's not like a 90-page document. I mean, it's maybe a couple of paragraphs in the Senate rules. It's not even in the Constitution. It's just in the Senate rules. And it would be, just...
I wonder if does that mean that it's only about the Senate then? If it's just the Senate rules.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's only... they re-sign it every 2 years, but you can change it at pretty much any time. But you gotta be careful doing that, because that's how you get fucking those judge nominations done, right? So, alright. Well, anything else? Any final words?
Nope, I'm going to bed. Yeah.
Fair enough. For those of you listening, we were filming this at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
So-
Shit, is it really 3?
Yeah, it's 3 in the morning.
Oh, fuck.
Alright, well, this has been the Refined Peasants.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that little notification bell in the corner, and be sure to let us know if you guys have any ideas for what you want to see from us next. We're a new upcoming podcast. Share it with your friends if you're confident.